Good morning. It's Stitch Along Friday and it's just me today. It's so good to have you here. I know that you'll be missing Lisa a little bit. She doesn't seem to be here, so I think she's decided that she's going to stay home this morning. And because she is actually off, so I know she would want me to tell you that she misses you. Anyway, so I'm here on my own, and I hope that I have lots and lots of people that come in and take up the slack, because it's different actually when you're on your own doing a Stitch Along Friday. So I have been seeing all of the beautiful Stitch Along designs. Just recently, I looked to see all of the media that I have been missing because I've been really busy. And I saw that the rowan tree has achieved great success. I see all of the people that have done both trees, and they look so lovely. I'm just really pleased to see what happens to the design once I've designed it and then people start stitching it. Because of course I haven't stitched it, which is unusual in my lifetime. Pat Henke, welcome. Kathy Bird, Margaret Andrew, hello everyone. I know that you're missing Lisa, but I'm not going to keep talking about that. But she didn't show up this morning, and I'm pretty sure she left me a message. I just didn't get it yet. Hello, Marty Olin. Very nice to see you. 38 degrees. Ooh. That doesn't sound like it's a very nice thing. Although, if you've got some snow, that kind of makes things look so much prettier. We don't get any snow here, so if there's like slush on the ground, it makes everything look worse. But if it's just snowing, it must look really nice. And Carol Reed from sunny Florida. I'm going to have to move to Florida, Carol. Honestly, every time it's sunny Florida, unless you get, your big thunderstorms. But really, sunny Florida sounds really nice. Patricia, read out. It's very nice to see you too. Good morning to you, or good afternoon, wherever you are. Susan, good morning to everyone. And Marcia, it's cloudy, Dallas. Okay, so there are some clouds in the sky, even in the south. And I call it the south because I think Texas is meant to be a southern state, right? Anyway, my partner, Richard, as you know, is in Mazatlan, and he says it's really cold there. I don't think it's ever been as cold as, like, they're setting records, cold records in Mazatlan, which is just like maybe 2 hours north of Puerto Vallarta. And, that's a little warmer, but not much. Apparently, overnights, they're getting down to, well, we'll call it like really cold for there, 50s, which is like not easy for people who are used to very hot temperatures. Anyway, so it seems like the weather down there has also changed a bit, which is to be expected, what with, climate warming or whatever they call it. Marty says 38 degrees today is much better. Yeah, that's right. You're not under the cold dome, the frozen dome. Good morning, good morning, good morning to everyone. Let's see who else is here. Denise Hayes. Good morning, everyone. Janet Bott is here. Hello, Renee. Dorothy. Hello. It's nice to see you too. Norma says yes. Everyone from a dreary but reasonably mild day in the Rochester, New York area. I think Rochester must be a really nice place to live as well. Although it's not sunny Florida. There's no wonder why people go to Florida to retire. I can see why. It must be a really nice place. Actually, Victoria is considered the westernmost part of Canada, is our Florida and California all rolled up into one, where I live, because we usually don't get very much snow. And yet we do get a fair bit of rain. So it's not exactly warm here, but it's a lot warmer than most of the rest of Canada. Yes, no snow here in Nova Scotia. Yay! Hola, boa tarde from rainy Brazil. Thank you. Happy Friday, everyone. Good to see you, Marley. Always nice that you're here. Marty says, I'm just finishing up my January tree, and February tree is starting today. Good weekend to get caught up. Absolutely. The Stitch Along trees, the trees of the month, you can call it. It's really been quite a lovely thing to start, and it's not like such a big project. So to do all of the little trees along the way this year, I think it's going to be really nice, and I'm looking forward to designing the next one, which will be, of course, released in March. So, but then you have the whole month to continue, and I don't have so many, like I used to do a mystery one every week, right? And that was fine, but of course you get a whole bunch of charts which must be also, your printer must be worn out by the time you're finished. And also, for me, it was a lot of work. So I'm really pleased that you're all loving, that you get a new design every month, and that's working out for you all. I love what you are all doing. One lady, I think, made the rowan trees berries yellow, which looks awesome. No, no doubt about it. Although it may not be a rowan tree then. I'm just not sure. I've never seen a rowan tree with yellow berries or flowers. Maybe it's the flowers that she's put in. Anyway, I'll have to check and see what she's got in mind. Ellen says, good morning to everyone from Dull, Stirling, Scotland. That doesn't sound very exciting. You mean dull like dull weather, I think, right? Rather than you are not dull. All the people are not necessarily dull. That's funny. Anyway, I was thinking the other day that you may not realize what's going on at my end of things, and it's important to kind of keep in touch personally as well. I'm the only one able to actually talk about it. I had some financial reversals in the last couple of months, and so I've decided to sell my house, which, crossing my fingers, in 10 days will all the subject twos will be removed and it will be gone, which of course throws an incredible amount of chaos into all of my plans. Now, it's not chaos, but it's a lot of moving. And at this time, I'll probably not want to move into this large house anymore. And the thing is that I want to probably move into a smaller place, which means that all of my efforts to declutter have been a godsend, because that basically is what I'm going to have to do, is to fit all of my stuff into a much smaller place and include the Victoria sampler, because I'm not quitting, okay? I've got plans. The thing about the Victoria sampler, however, the physical part has to, and we knew this already, would not be part of it anymore. So that's why all the ACT packs have gone, etc. But I do have some big plans for digital, moving forward digitally, and that includes making more patterns and having fun that way. Perhaps not as complicated patterns, smaller patterns perhaps, or less time spent on each pattern, but I think you'll get some really fun and exciting patterns coming up in the next year. But during this time, during the time that I'm basically adjusting everything, there's not going to be an awful lot. I will keep trying to come back here every Friday morning. But as you know, when you're moving, luckily my possession date isn't until June. So I'll have a nice long run up till June to get everything organized and sorted and move into another place. So it's going to be fun. I look forward to after June. I'm not looking forward to those next 3 months. So here we go. I'm going to just check and see who else is here. No snow. Tammy says, howdy home, and it's a breezy 40 degrees in Scenery Hill, Pennsylvania. Not too bad. It's certainly not a freeze dome or a snow dome. Marty says, I'm just finishing up my January tree. Oh, yes, and I read that. Hello, Tammy. And Ellen is in Dull, Scotland, exactly. So sorry about reading it over again. It's just that when things start to, when someone else is actually posting another answer, which is great, it bumps my older messages around a little bit, so I have to keep scrolling down. Let's see. She is in France. And who is in France? I believe. And the lady who did the blossoms that in yellow. Her mimosa tree blooms in February. So she's doing it. Thank you. I was wondering about it. I thought it was beautiful. But anyway, I love that mimosa tree. Good morning, Thea, says Karen. I'm planning on making each tree into a small. Perfect. So I can enjoy trading them out as the seasons change and able to enjoy them over and over. What a terrific idea. And thank you for sharing it, because people don't always know what to do with the things that they love stitching. Ellen, do you get yellow berries, some rowan trees? And yes, I meant dull weather. No, I haven't seen them in yellow. I've seen them orangey, but not yellow. But if it's a mimosa tree, then she's just changed the tree, which is perfectly fine. Lynn says, good morning, Thea and everyone else here. We've had an exciting day here in Old World War II bomb was discovered nearby and we heard it go off. Oh, no, that must have been so scary when it was found. But obviously they've set it off, so now it's no longer. Wow, a whole bomb. Like, how did it get to where you are? Oh, okay. Lynn, you're in the UK. I forgot. Well, that must have been really something and a real reminder of what people must have been going through in that war. Awful. Sylvie, Thibodeau, hello, bonjour. Dorothy says, Taya, how far away are you moving from where you are now? Well, that depends on where I can find an apartment or a condo. So, Dorothy, not too far, I hope. Diane says, hello from beautiful sunny winter day in Minnesota. Marty says, it looks like we need an angel blessing card today. Exactly. So I'm not going to look, because Lisa's not here. Sorry, she said to say hello. I just got a message from her on my phone and I was reading it and I saw that she said hello, hello to everyone, but she is working today. What does it say? Look at that. I sure hope this is true because I've really had the most amazing dreams overnight and they're kind of like visions of what can be in the future. And it says inspiration flows from you and from me. So that's a great card. Inspiration flows from you. And the lady with the mimosa tree also had inspiration flowing from her. Thank you all. That did it for me. Thanks so much, Marty. That was a great idea. It made everything better. What else? Louise says hello to and all, of course. Donna from sunny Berkeley. Whoa, that's good. I'm glad to hear it, and I hope you're feeling well, Donna. I think of you often, and as you're going through what you're going through. Karen says, good morning. We have had major flooding here in Auckland. Oh, and this weekend we have a huge cyclone coming in. No, not a cyclone. So this weekend, I think summer has definitely forgotten to arrive. Yeah, you should be having relaxing summer days in Auckland. Well, I'm going to cross my fingers and my toes, which I can actually do. Because I have bunions on both feet. So they're all fixed and everything, but still my toes kind of cross a little bit. So I'll keep them crossed for you today and this weekend and hope that there is not any damage and that if there is any, that it's just on property. And I wish you all the best in Auckland. Get that flooding out of there and that cyclone. Wow, that's really some weather. When I hear you all talking from all the different areas of the world, I hear you talking about the weather because it's a thing that we all have in common. And, it makes total sense that we should talk about our environment because it affects us, even psychologically. Like if you're in a snowstorm and you're going to stay home and stitch, you're being affected by the snow. If there's a cyclone, you've got fears. And I really appreciate the fact that we're all sharing weather stories when we first get started. I don't know why. It makes me know that where you are and what your environment is like and how that might be impacting you. Marty says, knowing that not everyone comes to this chat time, can you post a weekly angel blessing card on the Facebook site so everyone can read it and benefit if they need to? Also, we can go back over the week and read them again and again. Hadn't thought of that. Huh, Marty, it's an extra thing to do, but I'll consider it for sure. All I would need to do is take a quick picture and post it, right? Yeah. Okay, well, I'll think about it and I might post a few, but I'm not going to promise because I have so much on my plate in the next little while. Sue Donnelly, hello, dear. It's good to see you and I hope you're feeling a little better. Sue and her husband went to Florida and unfortunately came back sick. So hopefully you're starting to feel more like yourself again. So let me know how you're doing. Karen Lark, thank you. You're welcome. So that then I also have been thinking about what I can do with showing products when Lisa's not here. It's not as much fun, obviously. Although I'm having fun and I'm usually the one that talks the most. Lisa's always so kind. She lets me prattle on and on and on. You'd think that I was drinking coffee in the morning, but I don't drink coffee. I just get a little hyped up when I'm talking to all you people on the Stitch Along Friday Facebook thing. Oh, Sue, okay, that's all I needed to know. Yay is right. I'm so glad you're back to health. Both of you. That sounds wonderful. And we'll talk about other things very, very soon. I wanted to talk a little bit about the designs that I'm now going to be showing, because they're going to start to be more less covered in glass, number one, and they're going to be in order still, totally in order, but I want to go back a little bit, like a prequel. I know you'll laugh at this, because I didn't just start making Victoria Sanford designs. I'll show you my, it wasn't exactly my very first design, but the design that I did to get started designing, actually. I remember I was 49 years old, and it was my birthday, and I was sitting designing this piece that I'm going to show you, because I thought, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can design a cross stitch. My kids were just about, well, they're 14 and 15. I mean, for goodness sake, they weren't home very much. I mean, they were away a lot of the day, and I had organized my house to death, and everything was clean, and I was helping my husband with his real estate career, and we had parties so that he could get clients over. I did everything like that, and it was fun. I mean, it wasn't bad, but I had hours, and I thought, well, maybe I can get a little creative and do some designing. So I did. I made a design for a friend of mine, of her house. It was tiny. It was about this big. I stitched it up, and she loved it. It was so personal to her, because I had her white dog in her window. Anyway, so I thought, if I can do that, maybe I can do another building. And you'll laugh at the building I chose. I thought, well, if I'm going to do this, maybe I can sell to the tourist trade. So Lamppost Designs was born with this design. This is the Parliament buildings, or actually they're called legislative buildings in Victoria, BC. And as you can see, I learned how to do some shading. I learned how to do perspective. I learned how to do outlining with backstitching, and what colors to make the backstitching. It took me months to do this. It looks very simplistic now, but at the time, it felt incredibly complicated. And I've also got the little lamppost here on this side, which is kind of a icon of Victoria, the 5 globes and then flower baskets in the summer. And so when I finished this, I took the lamppost off and I stitched it as a separate picture. So this one became a kit, and then just the lamppost without the legislative buildings in behind became the second kit. And the second kit, of course, was much smaller. And I put all the DMC floss together. I got some Ada, because it was all done on Ada. And I made my first touristy kits, and took me 2 months to sell them, because it was so scary. I sold them to a little needlework shop that was down by the Inner Harbor, which is where all the tourists go. And she was delighted with them, and she sold them within a day. So then she wanted more. And it started to kind of snowball. Then I had them in another shop, and in another shop, and a button shop. I remember going up island with my kids in the back, and visiting my mom, who lived up island, and taking the station wagon full of kits up to various different outlets, where there was a wool shop in Parksville. I just basically started selling them, and selling my own things was really scary, because I didn't have a lot of confidence that they would sell. So that's the story. At the beginning of we'll call it my career, my needlework designing career, I was really unschooled, didn't know what I was doing. Everything was done by hand done with a rapidograph pen, like an architect would use, on paper. And so those designs, even though there were only about 18 of them, are in our Canadian series of cross-stitch kits, or leaflets now. There's 3 of them, and they contain most of the ones that I designed around that time. But I just wanted you to tell you the story of how I actually got started, literally in 1994. So that would have been a good 4 years or 5 years before. No, it wasn't 1994. It was 1949 that I started doing that. That's right. It was on my 40th birthday. 1989, I should say. So I'm going to read some of your comments, because I really appreciate your participation in my story. And not that it's of great importance, but it is a way to show that You know, if you just are just diligent and you have the time and you have the ability to take the time to do something, you can learn, you can increase your abilities. And I'm looking forward to also teaching designing. Louise, hello. I think I've already said hello to you, but I'm just looking to see what else. Marty, thank you again for the angel cards. And let's see, we got back to health. Tricia says, this is still one of my favorites, along with the lamppost and the Christmas lamppost, right? Because they painted some lampposts black and gold and then put Christmas flowers all over them, poinsettias and things. So I did one of those as well. Dorothy says, Taya, did you peruse design classes anywhere, or are you self-taught? Actually, I'm self-taught, except that I have found a booklet. It was literally about 8 pages long. It was like a booklet, like a leaflet. And in that booklet, it says how to design cross stitch. So they showed using tracing paper and architectural graph paper. And, you know, it's the old days, how to lay the graph paper over top and trace it. And then you will trace a picture. So it was a photograph. I didn't do that. I started to see the principles behind cross stitch design in my head once I started experimenting with it. So it was a booklet, and of course, for the rest, I was totally self-taught. Yes, can't deny that. That's for sure. And I think that has a lot to do with my lack of confidence in my abilities, because I just thought, well, anybody who's self-taught isn't going to do it the right way. So thank you for that question, Dorothy. Tanya says, your top and necklace, that's so pretty on you. I was looking at it this morning thinking, this is such a nice uplifting top. So thank you, Tanya. That's sweet. Louise, wonderfully ambitious, Tia. Such a detailed first project. It really was. It was exciting. I have to say, I would go to bed at night at my usual time, which at that time was around 10:30, and I couldn't sleep. Like this just totally, I got obsessed. And I have never looked back. The whole a creative aspect, the having a business, the employees, the wonderful expression of what I see, and being able to have people who appreciate it. It's amazing. Oh, I'm starting to have a little tear. Susan William Randall says, I so miss being in Victoria, moving from the West Coast, the Parliament buildings. I walk past all the time. I was there on Canada Day, and the celebration was wonderful to participate in. Good memory, and that is what cross stitch is for. Absolutely, Susan. I do remember you being here as well. Trisha says, oh, here we go. There you go. Yes, wonderful memories. Exactly. Wow, what a beautiful beginning into where you are now. It is amazing. I mean, I knew it was amazing all the way along. I just kept being grateful. And actually, when you're grateful for what you do, you get more opportunities because you just see them ahead of you. Anita says, I was with my mom when she picked out the legislative building to do in 1997. Really? That's so cute. Margaret, hi everyone. Just tuning in. I will have to watch again later to hear the little story. Absolutely. Feel free. And by the way, I haven't uploaded to YouTube in a little while, again, due to my busyness. And I'll try and make sure that I upload finally. I have 2 to upload from the previous 2 weekends, so I'll see if I can do them all. Beth says, I've thoroughly enjoyed working on your designs. Thank you. Thank you. No, thank you. All of the people who were able to support what I do and what all of my staff do. Don't forget, this is not just me. If it were not for Richard, I wouldn't have a business. If it wasn't for Lisa, I wouldn't have a business. So really, just because I'm the spokeswoman and the lead designer really doesn't mean that I could have done it all by myself. I did it for during the lamppost designs days. I did everything myself, so I kind of knew what I was in for, but I couldn't have kept that up and scaled it up to the business that it became. Being able to pay my mortgage with my business money was just incredible. Margaret says, I love the building. The detail's lovely. It's amazing how the backstitching brings things to life. It's a pain to do, but the result is lovely. It's true. Backstitching now is a little bit out of vogue. Although I've seen lately that people do more or less backstitching that would be like ink drawn on watercolor. And I like that effect. So that may be something that I can explore. I love new things. Dorothy says, I've had people ask to buy a couple of my Victoria Sampler pieces. And I just have to go up again a little bit. Wait a minute. I think I got, oh no, Dorothy, you're lost. I don't know what happened. It doesn't look like I can find you again. VS Pieces. Well, your thing is gone. Maybe you deleted it. I'm not sure. Few people are talented enough to create their own designs and do the business part. Oh yes, I don't know about talented, but I loved doing both. I love doing a lot of different things. And so it fit right in my wheelhouse, which I never expected. So thank you, though. It's a different kind of talent that some people have. Hi, everyone. Just tuning in. Yes, that's right. I've seen that. And Tanya, thank you. Margaret says, love the building. The detail is lovely. It's amazing how the back stitching brings things to life. Well, that's the last one. And then I see Dorothy trying to post something, and I'm not sure where your posts are going, Dorothy. I'll have to find out why I can't see them, because I did see you starting again, and now the end post that I see is Margaret Andrew saying, love the building. The detail is lovely. So anyone, if you've got any suggestions as to what's happening, that's fine. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe there's something I'm doing that is incorrect. Could be. Anyway, until I kind of figure out what's happening in the comment section, I'm going to see if I can write a comment and see if that will stay there. Oh, some says thank you so much is what I've got in there. So I'm going to try and say that and see if it stays. Yeah, it's staying. So far, so good. Okay, well, we'll wait and see if anybody else makes a post, and we'll see if it stays as well. For some reason, it's got the community standards sitting there. I don't know what that means. And I have a feeling, oh, sorry. As I'll try again. I've had people ask to buy a couple of my VS designs. I told them no. I said, first of all, they're copyrighted. And second, that they could never pay me enough. Is that your stitch designs, Dorothy, or your leaflets? I have no idea. And oh, I'm glad it was your fault, Dorothy, because I thought it was something I've been doing wrong. You know how that happens sometimes. So now that we've got a little bit of the prequel of Victoria Sampler, let me continue on with designs that I finished after number 26, which was Cottage Garden, which I showed you last week. The stitch design, oh my goodness. That would have been something, and you are more than welcome to sell it. It's not copyrighted to sell your stitched piece. Although I know of people who tried to do a business out of that, and I don't think that they could do more than 2 or 3 of any one piece. So, but that is definitely allowed. It's just you can't share the design that you paid for. We're hoping that everyone will pay for their own design to work from. I wondered what that was too. Community standards. Didn't remember seeing that before. Me neither. So I'm going to click on it, but not right now, because I have no idea what I'll get into if I do that. Love the design because my home is Design Victoria interior. Oh, I didn't know that. So no wonder you like Victorian style design, which I think is associated with my designing, even though it's because I live in Victoria, not because I'm a Victorian designer. I still I know that my design sense is sits fairly well in the Victorian style. A little bit fancy. I'm more European, that's for sure, because that's my roots. So after Cottage Garden comes the Heirloom Wedding Sampler. The Heirloom Wedding Sampler became huge, and up until that point, my design company was doing very well, but it wasn't like exploding. And all of a sudden, after this one, this is the one that has sold a huge amount before the Heirloom Christmas Sampler, which was, I think, our biggest seller of all time. So this one, I know you've seen it before, but you get to see it again briefly. This one didn't have any glass on it, notice, because I realized I could photograph them myself better than the professional photographer. which I started to do. And as soon as I started photographing these myself, I realized having the glass in front did not help the photograph. I also stopped using large mats at this point. So as you can see, the result here is a very fancy frame and no mat, and that made it easier for me to make a nice big picture on the front cover of any leaflet that I made. So this one is phenomenal because, as you know, it is full of texture. This is not full of color, but full of texture. My good friends in France were the people that I chose to put on here, but that doesn't mean that it has to be for them. They're just placeholder names for people. And then this was also really fun to do. This is the fly stitch here. And as soon as you've done a few fly stitches, you know how wonderful they look when it comes to leaves or wings or anything like that. Lots of pulled thread, lots of satin stitching, diamond eyes everywhere, and of course, what I considered the lacy train on a wedding dress. That's what the inspiration was for this. I think this was just a romantic view of weddings in general, and it is has become so popular because you can add color to this. You can add color in the words. You can add color in the flowers. Sorry, in the flowers around the heart. There's so many different things that you can do with this because it's basically a like a coloring book waiting to be what do you call it? Well, colored in, but waiting to be explored and invented in. So you can put your own stamp on this sampler anytime. I absolutely was thrilled with making it. It took me longer than usual, maybe about 3 months rather than 2, because at that point I was starting to see there was a pattern to how long it took me to design something and how I could fit that into a design product development schedule, because I had to have a schedule because, you know, we had to get materials in for our act packs. All sorts of things started happening. It was getting pretty complicated, and thank goodness for my partner Richard, who helped me sort things through. And we had an IT guy, his name was Gabor, who managed to sort out the database in order so that we could order raw materials and not over order. Oh, it was very exciting. The next one that I did after that, as you can tell, it was a big effort, and I did Butterfly Garden. So I just started to continue the Victorian Garden series, which I think I've already shown you. Let's see, the Rose Arbor was the first one, and Cottage Garden. So this is now the third garden, and they're all the same size. I think I've mentioned that. And this was Butterfly Garden. And I started to realize that this size was perfect for a small, cute little sampler that people could do to learn specialty stitches. Didn't take them a long time, was really pretty, and gave them a feeling of the garden, really. And for me, it was faster. And so I could intersperse a large piece with a small piece to go with my schedule. So that was really a wonderful next project to do. Let's see. Let's see what Patricia says. Do you find there are fads in stitching? Oh, definitely. Pattern styles that are more popular at different times throughout the years? Oh, yes. That's a really good topic. I'm going to write that down because fads of stitching. Yep, I've written it down. It's over the years, of course, I've really seen that my style is not the predominant style. That's fine. The predominant style is cross stitch, usually a lot of cross stitch. And at the time that I started was when the big pictures of the angels came out. I think, oh, I've forgotten the name of the lady who did them. I was so jealous of her. She did such beautiful pieces, but they were all cross stitch, extremely detailed, and usually of women that looked not like me. The women in her pictures all looked like models or like fashion plates. And I thought, okay, that's I guess that's a fashion, not a fashion statement, but it's a trend. So her daughter continued on doing the same things with slightly different design sense, but essentially that was the key. And then I started looking at the trend of making little samplers. And I think it was Shepherd's Bush that really inspired me. Also, Sweetheart Tree. She had started before me, and there was another lady, Linda, I think, I've forgotten her last name. So there were a number of people who were starting to make these small samplers, and I think they were inspirational because I was working in a needlework store. So I saw them, and I thought, oh, that's the kind of design I really want to make rather than just cross stitches. But we'll go back to the prequel next week. So let's see. Okay, what else is there? The fads in stitching, I think, it's not really so much fads. I think there's less interest now in making large pieces unless they are like Quaker style samplers. Other than that, I would say that the majority of younger people would prefer smaller pieces. That's just the way it is. They've got busy lives. Most of them have to work. So in my day, there were people who were able to stay home and be with their kids at least half the time. So I think that's part of the fads. And also in America, in North America, the US history, I would say nationalism, to do with Americana history, Plymouth, there is a sort of a wonderful sense of history in cross stitch meant for the US market and meant to be stitched rather for US people and were designed by US people. And I knew I wasn't an American. I was Canadian and I was born in Europe. So my whole approach was slightly different than the predominant designs that you might see. But I've noticed in the last few years, probably the last 5 years, European designers are starting, and they remind me of me. they're quite different. Cheryl says, just curious, do you graph first or stitch first and then graph after stitching when designing? Cheryl, I do a combination, and I guess it's just my own method. I evolved really. So I started by designing first. Well, no, actually, when I first started, I had to design on a graph paper. So I would do some, and then I would stitch some, and I would do some, and I would stitch some, all on graph paper with a pencil. Just that's all I could do with a colored pencil. But then as soon as I got into computer charting, I kept that up. So I would chart on the computer. I would try to follow what I thought I had charted, didn't like it, so I would take it out, and then I would have to rechart it and rechart it and rechart it. So I would say I do a combination because I wanted to stitch everything. I did not want someone else to stitch my pieces, which was against the rules. The majority of people who were in business would get other people to stitch their pieces for them, which was a lot easier when you have mostly cross stitch, right? Because cross stitch is like pixels of color. But I could never tell what a specialty stitch was going to look like. When I developed it, I would develop it in my head as I was stitching. So it would have its own look, it would have its own texture, and it would have its own depth, etc., and colors. And I've taken out many specialty stitches and put back in something simpler just so it would go with the rest of the piece. So I was actually working and designing more on the linen than in the cross stitch program. I hope that helps. Or I hope that answers your question. We love your style. Thank you, Tricia. Lavender lace. Yes, thank you. And Marilyn, love it. Yes, lavender and lace, exactly. The specialty stitches are what make your design so fun many years ago when I was learning. Absolutely, Cheryl. And me too, by the way. I didn't start knowing all of these. As I was designing, I was adding more stitches. So it was great fun. Thanks, Taffy. Hello. Pat says, you're right, Thea. When I was sewing for public, I say, fit American doll, not design copyright. Please, those, if selling at flea market, etc., check your wording. Margaret says, that's what I love about your designs. After many years, about 20, of doing big, heavily beaded mandalas, I found I needed to stop with that and do some smaller, but yet it's still interesting and fun things. I'm older now and I need some easier on the hands, etc. I think there's some more there, but not dull, boring, straight pieces. I have a real problem with dull and boring, so I'm with you on that. Dorothy says, there's still plenty of larger designs for us older ones. I haven't stitched all of yours yet. Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying that. I'm saying trends and fads in the stitching world. Um, Most people that are younger than us are not as able to or willing to go through a lot of different stitches to get to where they want. They want the results more quickly. And that's just the way it goes. It's good to see you too, Carol Lamont. Oh my goodness, it's been so long since I've seen anybody. I'm just looking so forward to teaching in Stitcher's Hideaway this fall. I'm developing the design now, and I stitched on it this last week quite a few times. Absolutely love doing the one I'm doing now, so I hope that people who are looking forward to a Halloween design at Stitcher's Hideaway go to the Stitcher's Hideaway thing in October. I think it's the 23rd and 24th. Let me just double check. Yep, 23rd and 24th. Let's see. Good to see you too. We got very excited over crafts because of the celebrations for 1976. I started quilting, embroidery, and a victory garden. That's really interesting, Susan. Renee, what software charting do you use? I use something called EasyGrapher Pro. It actually is very suitable to the kinds of designs that I'm doing. Not supported, not technically supported anymore at all. Really difficult to get on my Windows 10. So it's not a cross stitch program. It's definitely for specialty stitches. Oh boy, I can't wait to see the design for the October retreat, says Sue. Absolutely, it's starting, and I'm about halfway through, so I've got the other half to go. And then I've got some other things near the bottom, so it's still coming along, but slowly but surely. Dorothy says, some younger ones have no patience for anything anymore. I'm not saying all, but it's becoming more and more that way. I don't know if they don't have patience. I think people who are younger today face a completely different world that we did, Dorothy. And I've seen that in my own children. What they have to go through to clear their minds, to be able to function, to be able to pay for just regular living is not easy. I don't think that I was ever in such a difficult spot. And with the internet, along with all of that, the internet takes away hours as well. I've seen, people spend hours just flicking through Facebook. I've done it myself. I know how easy it is to do. So those hours or minutes at first and then hours, we would spend stitching. So, there's different and there's gaming, which I still don't get. But anyway, so it's such a different world. I don't know if it's patience, but I certainly think it's time. And we still haven't been able to create more time out of a 24-hour day. Tammy says, I like stitching on big cross stitches, detailed picture types as a long-term project. And I really enjoy stitching your samplers also. The samplers are a nice change. So, right. That's exactly right. Having those great big pieces makes you feel accomplished when they're done, and they're so beautiful. Some of them are works of art, really. And I'm so glad that my attempts at designing make you feel like you've got some little challenging things to do. It's kind of fun. It's over not too long, maybe a month, and then you're on to something new. To me, starting something new, even in designing, was one of my all-time pleasures, and it still is. Starting something new is the best feeling, all the possibility ahead. The next one that I was designing after the butterfly garden was Heirloom Memories. My grandmother had just died, and I wanted to do something to make her, to commemorate her. Instead of her, I put Paul because that was not personal. I didn't want to advertise to the world that it was for my grandmother. But essentially, I could have put Dora on this. Her first name was also Theodora. Mine is Theodora, and her shortened name was Dora, and mine was Thea. So in any case, this is what I came up with. Very soft. The flowers are all about remembrance and love. And then, of course, the usual specialty stitches, band sampler. It really is just a Victorian-looking band sampler. And she was forever, and still is forever in my heart. So this was a beautiful way to segue from the wedding to a little one that I put in between. And then 2 months later, I finished this one. Let's see, where am I now? I think Lavender Hearts was the next one. And that was this one, I think. Lavender Hearts was phenomenal. I love lavender. I had no reason to do it. It's just that I love this over dye so much. And I thought I would make a very simple Hardanger heart instead of my usual silk ribbon bullion knot hearts. I made it so it was easily done by most people if they wanted to do Hardanger. And then I did this over dye, just spoke to me, and that's actually the inspiration, was the over dye. And this is now turned into a beautiful bell pull, but I took the bell pull hardware off because it's easier to store the bell pull hardware in a separate bag in my storage unit. So I'm not taking out all of the bell pulls, but it has a beautiful bell pull hardware as well. And my favorite, Bargello. Yeah, so that was a really nice piece to have. And it was when I started doing multiple pieces, smalls, in my design. And so look, this is what I also created out of that design. So I took the heart in the middle, and then I used the same kind of little cross stitch little flowers, and I put it in a circle all the way around, and it was fun to do because I could do it on the computer. That was the best part. That's when a computer is really handy for designing. Just bought that. Loved lavender. It's my favorite. I'm so glad. It sounds like you're just about to start. And Dorothy says, I've never seen that one before. If you want, I'll show it one more time. It's really pretty. Both of them are just lovely. And oh, this pincushion here, this pincushion comes, and I think it's still available in Sudbury.com. Gorgeous pin. Exactly, Louise. I love that too. Margaret says, I'm always starting something new. It's finishing them that seems to take a lot of my time. Yes, what you need to do is start a business and hire Lisa or a Lisa-like substitute. And then, you see, you pay them. Of course, you have to pay them. And then they will also do some finishing for you. It's impossible to find. It's not easy. I really understand. But some of the finishing is not too difficult, especially bell pulls. They're quite easy. And we do have a bell pull finishing leaflet out as well, and Lisa did all of that instructions for that, so you should get really good instructions there. Tammy says, let's see, I like stitching on big cross stitches. Yes, and that I've already read, Tammy. Sometimes it's hard for me to keep track. That's so nice. Yes, I'd love to see it one more time. Okay, my dear, you got it. There we go, right at the top. So that is the Hardanger heart, much easier than some of the hearts that I have done before. You can see some of the little roses underneath, lavender, and then come the hearts. And the hearts are stunning because they're Rhodes hearts. And of course, there's metallic in there. If you follow the the materials guide, you will get this same result. And I'm pretty sure that most of these materials will still be available. The over dye for this, I think, is a Karen collection one, water lilies, and it's also in the Bargello. The big hem stitching there at the bottom was my invention, so hopefully it works for you too. When I did that, I thought, okay, let's try this and see if it works. And I think finally, let's see, there's Lavender Hearts and there's Heirloom Memories, and I should have taken the Heirloom Memories needle roll out as well, and I'd forgotten to do that. Here is a small version of Heirloom Memories. Forever in My Heart is still there. It is actually a little sampler. So if you did this and you didn't turn it into a needle roll, you would have a small sampler that commemorates someone who's passed away. It has all the same little flowers in it. It has the little verse. It has some Hardanger. It really is a wonderful accompaniment to this. And as far as I know, this is in the pattern. Let's hope so, because I'm just guessing now. Lisa's not here to be my memory. And I think it's going to be absolutely crazy wonderful to see how people are going to take these designs and use them for themselves. Because, of course, you can change colors, you can make them smaller, you can make things bigger, remove a few things you don't like, change it up. It's really a fun thing, and that's the beginning of designing. Finally, I know that I went a little bit out of sort. Let's see, I think I did one more, but I'm going to leave that until next time because it has about 10 pieces to it, so I can't show them all right now. But in any case, that one will wait until next week, and it's called Christmas Poinsettia. And I know you're going to love seeing all the little pieces, all taken from one small pattern, which to me was a really wonderful idea. Also, I found when I was searching around in our back room, because I'm decluttering, remember, the butterfly garden I showed you last week. Do you remember? We went into this and I just showed it to you again, all the little butterflies. It has a free pattern that went with it, and I'm not sure if that's already a tiny pattern, because that's why I'm not saying it's in the pattern itself, but it could be. Maybe someone who has that pattern can tell me. There is the cutest little cushion. And really, it uses the painted butterfly that I used at that time, but you can put any butterfly or anything in the middle. The pillow is adorable. It's got little tassels. It's just the cutest thing. And of course, it has homemade cording around the outside. So that's also taken from the butterfly garden, and a little scissor fob that was created and finished, I think, by Yvonne, if I'm not mistaken, because she was working with us for a short time, for a few years. And so that goes together with the butterfly garden. And I didn't want to stop. Last week, I knew there was something, but I didn't find it. So I found it this week. Hopefully you enjoyed that too. That is the end of the show and tell for today, and also a slipping into the past, little history, storytelling. For my part, it actually makes my whole 26 years, well, it's longer than that, maybe 36 years. It makes me feel like that time was really meaningful, not just for me, but for many people who were my fans and came to me over the years, from so many different directions, and all the connections I've made with not just fans, but also shop owners. It brings it all alive for me, so it's kind of fun. I'm kind of enjoying being able to go through all the previous patterns you may not have seen too many. Cheryl says that is a stunning Bargello pattern. It is on that one. Yes, absolutely. I love that one. And of course, with the mauve and the and the purple and the lavender colors, it's just lovely, lovely. Gigi, it's very good to see you. Bonjour. It's wonderful to see you. Nice evening. It's wonderful to see you too, Gigi. And you're very welcome. Yes, it's a really good one to have on the shelf, Dorothy, because it's actually all the things that I was doing at that time. I changed my design side, my design style, I should say, sometime after that. But there I was still doing many, many different specialty stitches. So these are specifically good for people who love to develop new ways of doing stitching. Carol Lamont says, I just got over COVID. Ugh, I am so glad you got over it. I had 4 shots for it and wasn't that sick. I'm so happy for you. Even people who have had shots and boosters and everything, I do believe that that is pretty much the consensus, is that it could have been worse from all reports from people who didn't have the shots. So Carol, I'm very happy for you that you not only had it, but it wasn't too bad. But I know a few days, even with shots, a few days of having that virus can be really debilitating. So I'm glad you're out of it. Karen says, love this trip through your personal history. You have inspired so many people. Karen, thank you. That's very sweet of you. Susan says, yes, it is part of the pattern. Thank you, Susan. So good to hear. So this little pillow is part of the pattern. I should have put it together before that. Thank you, thank you. Let's see. I wish we could still get the bell pull hardware here in New Zealand. By the way, I can't find them here either. The price to purchase them from overseas makes it quite expensive. I'm wondering where you can see them overseas, because I haven't even found them yet. They went out of style at some point, and I haven't been able to find those kinds, small, tiny ones. I'm always looking for other ways to finish lovely projects. Thank you. I wish you all a wonderful stitch weekend. We love you, Thea, and we love you too here. Lisa's not here, but she still loves you to pieces. One more thing, I do have a little auction piece, and this is going to be put on the auction today just for fun. This was one of Kathy Jean's models, and the reason I'm showing it this way, it was a flat fold, but I've decided that I took the flat fold part off so that people can put it into a frame if they wish, or create the rest of the flat fold better than it was created, because it wasn't finished as well as it should have been. So it is now on mat board. It is stretched. It looks wonderful. And look at that. You are my sunshine. Kathy does more of a kind of style that she also lives in an old farmhouse. She loves country, and her personal muse wants her always to do things in a kind of country way. So her designs don't necessarily mesh with mine, but that made them kind of fun to have on the same website. So have a look at Kathy Jean's design on my website, Designs, and this one is called You Are My Sunshine, I think, basically. So this one's going to be this little piece, this model will be auctioned off, and it's going to be very inexpensive. So go and check it out. Okay, I'll do that. Carmen says, I have a lot of your original patterns. They're so beautiful. Thank you. The same, of course, for the new ones. Have a lot of yours on my to-do stitched. I love your show and tell. Thank you, Carmen. I don't think I've spoken to you too often here, so nice that you made a post. I really appreciate it. I do love you all. Those of you who are here, rain or shine, snow or cyclone, I just can't tell you how much I appreciate having you all on board with me, and we look forward also. Don't forget, I'm moving now. I've sold my house. Hopefully all the subject twos will be removed by the 20th. And when that happens, I will be in the process of moving. So life will go on. And then after that, I'm really going to gear up and enjoy doing more classes and courses. And I've been talking about this for over a year now, courses and classes, not elsewhere, digital. I am planning on being a digital hound. It's fun, and it's hopefully exciting, and will also aid in our finances, which is important, of course. In the meantime, love and much respect for all of you who have come to join me here. 48 viewers today. Awesome. Hello, Barbara Lutomirska. You just came at the end. I'm so glad you're here. That's great. Love you, and see you again next week, Friday. Hopefully Lisa will be here then, but if she isn't, you know I'll be here at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, in this case not daylight yet, Pacific time, and every Friday I come here at about that time. So I'm going to put up the auction piece right now, and I'll see you next week. Have a good weekend.